Insights into Narcissism from my book, The Self-Analysis Workbook. In the beginning of our lives, we feel that everything is connected to us. We view our mothers as self-objects, as parts of ourselves, an extension of me. She is at first our admiring audience who meets our mirroring needs. We feel ourselves immersed in her strength. It is only with frustration that we slowly begin to see her as separate from us and develop a sense of self. For the narcissistic person who suffered inadequate self-object experiences because his mother was depressed or emotionally unavailable and didn't give him the attention he needed, the self is enfeebled. As an adult, he still might use others as extensions of himself. He still might need to immerse himself in the power of others through idealization. Narcissistic persons don't see people as separate, with thoughts and feelings and behavior different from them. They don't have empathy and are mainly concerned with their own experiences of tension and relief of frustration and getting gratification. Narcissism is not an all or nothing phenomena. We all are narcissistic to a degree. People can be mildly narcissistic or severely narcissistic. Whereas the mentally healthy person experiences himself, I want, I feel, I wish. The narcissistic person conceptualizes himself. He's always trying to live up to his strict ego ideal, an image in his mind of how he should be. The aim of narcissistic mental activity is to maintain cohesiveness and good feelings in self-representations or how he sees himself. The narcissistic person seeks the missing connectedness with mother that was inadequate in childhood, with a mother who would soothe and empathize with him and be attuned to his needs. Only when the child experiences moments of merger with mother's capacity do these experiences become internalized as part of the self, leading to the creation of an internalized mother where the child becomes capable of providing functions mother previously supplied of soothing and self-esteem regulation. Narcissistic persons have an unconscious longing for merger, need to reenact the process of merging and separating that went so awry in childhood, where mother wasn't available to meet his self-object needs, where the separation individuation process was faulty. The narcissistic person forms relationships with others based on what they can do for him. He seeks relationships with people willing to feed his grandiosity. If he perceives others will not admire him, he devalues them and withdraws from the relationship. In this way, he protects his vulnerable self-esteem. Love was never learned at his mother's knee. He and his mother were not sensitive to each other's cues, where each had the power to bring about responses from the other, where the child was good at demanding what he needed from mother, and mother was good at responding to his cues and meeting his needs. His parents may themselves have been narcissistic, and instead of treating the child as a unique and separate person, may have treated him as an extension of self. Hence he emerges from childhood with a diminished sense of omnipotence, and today, as an adult, he turns what was passive into active. He seeks control to create a sense of control that was absent in his experience of childhood. The grandiose self seeks the unconditional acceptance, admiration, affirmation, validation that he didn't get back in childhood. He seeks as an adult the recognition that was not forthcoming then. He seeks admiration from outside himself so as not to feel inferior, empty, and worthless. Because the self's needs weren't met in earliest childhood, he is narcissistically vulnerable. Frustrations in current life activate aggressive feelings felt in childhood, when needs were similarly frustrated by mother. Injuries in the present are devastating because they are similar to narcissistic injuries in early childhood. There is an extreme sensitivity to criticism and narcissistic rage when frustrated. An effective triad is easily activated. When someone fails to admire him, to live up to his idealization, he feels hurt and depressed, withdraws, and then devalues the person who hurt him. Beside expecting others to function as an extension of him and bolster his self-esteem, the narcissistic person also seeks to function as an extension of others, to participate in their strength. He needs to fuse with others he idealizes, to feel omnipotent, omniscient others with which he can to find omnipotent, omniscient others with which he can merge, sharing in their knowledge and power. Merger bolsters his fragile core. He borrows from others the strength he doesn't find in his enfeebled self. He needs to internalize values and ideals from others to self-soothe and self-calm, to contain affects. A relationship with such an idealized self-object bolsters his self-confidence and sense of well-being. When we are not guided from within as to what our goals are, we have to take our cues from outside, from society, from authorities, from idealized others. So narcissistic, disordered people may strive for wealth, power, fame, goals that when achieved may leave them still feeling empty because they don't hold any real meaning for them. The narcissistic person grows by building up his own structure. When he is frustrated by the outside world, if that frustration is not overwhelming, he builds up internal structure. He begins to do for himself what he previously needed others to do for him. To grow, he needs to learn to mourn the injuries of childhood and come to realize the self-objects of childhood were fictions of his imagination. He needs to mourn their loss and become able for the first time to really love people who are different and separate from him, who don't exist to meet his needs. While we never completely lose the need for affirmation and the need to idealize others, the healthy person does stop seeing people as extensions of himself, whose main value is to compensate for parts of himself that have been developmentally arrested. Questions for self-analysis. Do you feel hurt when others show a different reaction rather than the merged reaction of perfect understanding you expected? When someone fails to function as a self-object, do you feel hurt and depressed, then withdraw or devalue the person who hurt you? Do narcissistic injuries make you feel rage? Are you sensitive to criticism? Are you perfectionistic to avoid criticism? Do you feel a sense of entitlement, expecting people to grant you favorable treatment and meet your expectations? Do you need the admiration of others? Do you lack empathy? Do you envy others or think they envy you?